Good day, eh? And welcome to another Mr. Kilroy presentation. On behalf of the Freedom Pages, today I wish to bring everyone's attention to an organization known as Canadian Unlicensed Firearms Owners Association. I know that sounds a little awkward to say, but the acronym would be CUFOA or CUFOA. Straight up, in principle, I support these guys. They are a band of conscientious objectors, and they embody the movement to repeal the Firearms Act. In fact, they have been fighting gun control in Canada since the 1970s. Contrary to the narrative that is perpetuated, gun control in Canada has been minimal and not nearly so zealously enforced. I would call these fellows unsung heroes because they are mostly ignored by the mainstream media, even though they are tirelessly working to end this bit of draconian legislation. That is the Firearms Act. They have held rallies coast to coast in every provincial capital. They have purchased space at gun shows, urging others to join their cause. Their cause is the complete abolition of the Firearms Act, also known as Bill C-68. The means by which they oppose this statute is civil disobedience, which is every Canadian's natural right, or God-given right if you like. And this civil disobedience is done peacefully. No huge big marches, no cop cars lit on fire. It's very peaceful. Because, again, Canadian firearms owners, by and large, are the least likely to break laws. Now, they're asking all firearms owners not to comply with the Firearms Act. Indeed, they ask all firearms owners to join them by tearing up their licenses, not renewing them, and getting rid of your registration slips. Now, long firearms, rifles and shotguns, no longer require to be registered. Now, if all firearms owners did this, there would be little the government could do about it. I would guarantee to you a few would be charged criminally, but they can scarcely arrest 2 million firearms owners. Now, I have to put a footnote here. Now, that would be the 2 million firearms owners that complied. At the time, 1995, Mr. Tomlinson of the NFA had calculated, and this is using importation, sales records, so on and so forth from firearms dealers, that there were approximately 7 million firearms owners in control of 21 million firearms. Now, some people did surrender their firearms and said, I want nothing to do with any government scheme. I don't want the government to have anything on me. It's not worth my trouble. Others basically said, what firearms? Quietly hid them away. Friends and family, oh, I got rid of those guns. Now, I would say that the remaining estimate of 5 million people will come out of hiding one day and stand and be counted. What a day that would be. 7 million people telling the government, no, we're not going to do this. And as I keep saying is that we need to stand upon our right. It's one of the few true rights that we actually have as subjects of the crown. And as I have, I believe, successfully proved, we are standing on a constitutional right. Now, sadly, I doubt this will happen. It is a big risk, I know. I have pondered it myself, whether to let my license lapse once again. Since it's not a decision that affects only me, I had to consider the consequences and the effect it would have on my family. I am certain it is a consideration many of us have had to make. Those of you that really, after you've licensed up like I did, found what a pain in the backside this whole draconian law is, and that the actual fact is, or the net end goal of it is to eliminate firearms ownership. So I am supporting them in the manner that I can. I am making this video to draw attention to them. Also, I'm urging all firearms owners, whether you own them officially or not, to start writing our newly minted Minister of Public Safety. And this fellow's name is Mr. Blaney. What's his name? Yeah, they call him Mr. Blaney. Haha. Stephen Blaney. He is from Quebec, which we all know to be a very hostile province to firearms owners. Matter of fact, they were fighting to keep the firearms registry data collected by the federal government, claiming that they owned it, that Quebec actually paid for it. Well, given the fact that they receive more than they remit to the federal government, I would have to say that Quebec really hasn't paid for much of anything, but that's another matter. Now, the importance of your letter is basically twofold. The CPC is foundering in the polls. They have dropped considerably. While this is explained away as just being midterm boredom of the polling public. However, it is an opportune time for firearms owners to remind them that they are a large number of people who butter their bread. Secondly, it should be noted that a letter is viewed as approximately 500 votes. If we generate an adequate amount of letters, they have no choice but to take notice of it. Again, going back to the fact that they are foundering. They are dropping in popularity. They need a stark reminder of the fact that they not only promised to get rid of the long gun registry, they promised to get rid of the entire Firearms Act long ago, while they were still an alliance between CPC, or before they became CPC. They were the Conservative Reform Alliance. It was that promise that brought them to where they are today, because firearms owners do work tirelessly behind the scenes, joining the party and making things happen. Remember Mark Harland? Of course you don't, because Mark Harland isn't an MP anymore. He's a nobody. And he's a nobody because firearms owners mobilized in the riding of Ajax and worked to have him replaced by a conservative. That could be something else you could point out. Now, I'll put all pertinent links below, and I urge everybody to write Mr. Blaney and explain to them that it has been a long-standing promise of the Conservative Party of Canada, and this goes back to their earliest of days, to get rid of the Firearms Act. As they grew closer to power, they really began to step away from that stance. You could also point out to them that it has been a year since the end of the registry. The streets have not run red with blood, as it was predicted by the pro-gun control forces. So as I've said, it's up to you. And I do know that a great many of you do not support the current system. It doesn't matter. You don't have to get angry. You just have to write a simple letter and simply put across your view that you do not support the firearms legislation that is in place and that it needs to be repealed, and simple firearms ownership and possession should not be a criminal offense. You could also point that the registration requirement of pistols since 1934 has done little. That registration is really just a placebo. That licensing is just a placebo. It does not solve any crime problems. As I said, you do not have to be extraordinarily articulate. You do not have to be extraordinarily eloquent. You can handwrite it, you can type it, you can put it on a computer. You can fax it. I will leave all of that information below. On behalf of the Freedom Pages and Mr. Kilray, I wish everybody an excellent day.